We're not using it. My father's voice was hard, like he was issuing a royal decree. The hospital bill in my hand started to tremble. Not using what? The insurance. He lay in the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. I'm the father of a big-shot executive. Am I going to use some state-subsidized plan? People would laugh. I put the bill down and took a deep breath. What did you just say? I told the head nurse we're paying for everything out of pocket, my father said, his voice ringing with self-importance. That line at the insurance window is full of poor old folks. I'm David Miller. I've got a reputation to maintain. I stared at him, and a bitter, humorless laugh escaped my lips. He'd been diagnosed with a tumor last week. Luckily, it was early stage. The surgery and treatment would run about $80,000. With his insurance, it would cover at least $50,000. We'd be on the hook for $30,000. But what does he do? You're Leo Miller, the guy making six figures. And your dad needs a handout from the government to see a doctor? It's pathetic. That's your life-saving money. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. And it's my blood, sweat, and tears. His face changed, and he angrily swiped the apple off his bedside table. What's that supposed to mean? It means that starting today, I'm done. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. When the call came the next day. Leo, you just left your dad at the hospital by himself? It was my Uncle Joe. I did. What is wrong with you? Have you no respect? Your father is a sick man. I didn't say anything. I was in the company restroom, splashing cold water on my face. In a mirror, my eyes were sunken and dark. Your dad said you got angry because he didn't want to use his insurance. That's pretty petty, don't you think? Uncle Joe, I interrupted. Let me break it down for you. He went quiet. I've been grinding out code in Austin for 6 years. I've lost half my hair. I know, you're a big deal, managing hundreds of people. I'm a team lead. I have 3 people under me. But your dad said, I make $12,500 a month before taxes. My mortgage is $4,000. That's still pretty good money. With Austin's cost of living, groceries, utilities, HOA fees. I'm lucky if I can save $2,000 a month, I said. I've been saving for 6 years. I have $140,000 in the bank. Uncle Joe didn't speak. That $140,000? That was supposed to be for my wedding next year. Well, your father's health is more important right now. I never said I wouldn't pay for his treatment, I said through gritted teeth. $140,000 is more than enough, especially with insurance. But no, he had to have the private suite. The room alone is $1,800 a day. A private room is quieter. He insisted on the imported, non-covered drugs from Germany, when the generic versions work exactly the same. The imported ones work faster. He's been there 1 week, and we've already burned through $35,000, I said, all out of pocket. Silence on the other end. Yesterday, the nurse came asking for another payment. I said I was going to get his insurance processed. You know what he said? What did he say? He said, my son has plenty of money. Put it on his card. No insurance. Anyone who uses insurance is a loser. I heard a sharp intake of breath over the phone. Then he turned to me and told me to sell my condo in Austin. Uncle Joe, I just finished renovating it. I haven't even moved in yet. I laughed at dead sound, and I'm supposed to sell my future home for his ego? But I'm not a bad son, I said. But he's trying to suck the marrow from my bones just to puff out his chest. Uncle Joe sighed. Try to understand your father. He's been bragging his whole life in Rockwood. He's sick now. He just wants to keep up appearances. I understand, I said. So I need him to understand me. What do you mean? I'm 30 years old. If I sell my place, my fiancée will leave me. I'll end up alone for the rest of my life. Uncle Joe was quiet. He wants to be the father of some hotshot millionaire. Fine by me, I said, but he's not going to use my life as a stepping stone. Leo, you can't do this. People in town will drag your name through the mud. I hung up. My phone rang again. My mother. Leo, your Uncle Joe just told me everything. Okay. How can you be so selfish? He's your father. And when was he ever a father to me? When did he ever think about whether I would live or die? What is that supposed to mean? We put you through college. I got through college on student loans that I paid for myself. But we raised you. I looked out the window. The Austin skyline was a forest of glass and steel, like a field of polished tombstones. Mom, do you remember the day I closed on my condo? Of course. I asked to borrow $5,000 for the down payment. That was our retirement savings. We couldn't touch it. You said your retirement was untouchable. Phoenix. I turned back to the mirror, looking at my own pale reflection. I took out a personal loan to cover it. She didn't answer. Now he's sick, I laughed. He has insurance, but refuses to use it. He wants to burn through my money, and he wants to burn my home to the ground. Leo, you need to understand. I don't understand, I said. And for once, I need you both to understand me. What are you trying to say? From this day forward, I will only pay the copays and out-of-pocket expenses that are left after his insurance is applied. Now, I won't pay a single penny more. The private suite is out. The imported drugs are done, I said. That's my final offer. Are you trying to kill your father? No, I said, my voice calm. I'm just trying to survive. I hung up. The phone rang again. My dad. I ignored it. A voice message came through, his voice booming and full of energy. Leo Miller, you think you're big shot now? If you dare cut off my treatments, I'll throw myself off the top of this hospital. I'll make sure the whole world knows what an ungrateful son you are. I texted back. If you jump, make sure you don't land on anyone. I can't afford that lawsuit. He didn't reply. I sat on the toilet, staring at the balance in my banking app. $105,000. This was everything I had. And my father, for the sake of his pride, wanted to drain it to zero and leave me with hundreds of thousands in debt. I suddenly found it hilarious. So hilarious my stomach hurt. But I didn't cry. I opened my phone and Googled how to cancel hospital VIP services. Tomorrow, I was going back to the hospital to clean house. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about showing him who was really in charge. 2. When I got to the hospital, the room was buzzing. My father was in a private suite, one that even had a small sitting area. He was on the sofa, holding court with a few friends from his hometown, a cloud of smoke hanging in the air. This little sickness, it's nothing. My son told me. Only the best. We're using the best medicine, imported straight from Germany. One shot costs over $10,000. Insurance? Insurance is for poor people. You think the Millers are worried about a little cash? I stood in the doorway, listening to him brag, a fire building in my gut. Oh, Leo's here. One of the neighbors saw me. This must be the famous executive. Looking sharp. Heard you're running a big company in Austin. My father saw me, and a flicker of guilt crossed his face before he masked it with his usual patriarchal bluster. Where have you been? Can't you see Mr. Henderson's glass is empty? Get him some water. I didn't move. Leo, I'm talking to you. Dad. I walked to the coffee table and pushed aside a fancy fruit basket. I've already taken care of the discharge papers. The room fell silent. What did you say? My father's eyes went wide. This room is $1,800 a day. We can't afford it, I said. I've had you transferred to a standard room. 3 beds, $80 a day. The hell you did? My father threw a cigarette on the floor. I'm not staying in a triple. It stinks of feet and old men snoring. Is that a place for a human being? Then you can go home. Yep. Uncles, gentlemen. I turned to the crowd of gawking neighbors. I'm not some big shot executive. I'm just a guy with a job. Leo, what are you? I make $12,500 a month. After my mortgage, I can't even afford to smoke, I said, pointing at my father. That $10,000 shot he's talking about. I can't pay for it. The no insurance plan? I definitely can't pay for that. The men from back home exchanged strange, uncomfortable glances. My father's face turned a deep, furious red. You shut your mouth. What kind of nonsense are you spouting here? It's not nonsense. I pulled out a stack of receipts. This is the bill for 1 week. $35,800. Dad, do you have that kind of money? He was speechless. You don't, and I don't either. I slapped the papers on the table. This was paid for with the money I had saved for my condo renovations. But you still have the condo. My father roared. Sell your place in Austin. That's worth hundreds of thousands. And where would I live? Rent an apartment. I raised you my whole life. What's the big deal with selling one house for me? That's the house I'm going to live in with my wife. To hell with your house. What's more important, my reputation or your goddamn house? As soon as he said it, a collective gasp went through the room. I stared at him, my gaze turning to ice. My reputation is more important, right? Damn right. Okay. I nodded. Then you can live with your reputation. I turned to leave. Leo Miller, you walk out that door, and you're no son of mine. Good, I said without turning back. Saves you the trouble of having to lie about me being a millionaire. It must be exhausting. I walked out of the VIP suite. Behind me, I heard the sound of a glass shattering and his hysterical screams. Ungrateful snake. You're a damn snake in the grass. I walked to the nurse's station. Excuse me, for David Miller in room 16. Please cancel all non-covered services and medications. But the patient specifically requested. He's the patient, but I'm the one paying. I held up my ID. From now on, only prescribe what's covered by his insurance. If he refuses treatment, have him sign the discharge papers. The nurse, looking stunned, nodded. Okay. Walking out of the hospital, the sun was blinding. I got a call from Uncle Joe. Leo, you took it too far this time. Did I? Your dad's in his room, crying his eyes out. Says you're abandoning him. He's got a pension check for a few $1,000s in his wallet. He won't starve. So you're really not going to help? Uncle Joe, let me ask you something. Go on. If I sell my condo, get him the best treatment, and he gets better, then I'm homeless, single, and buried in debt. What happens when he gets older needs full-time care. Am I supposed to sell a kidney then? Uncle Joe paused. Well, he's killing the goose that lays the golden eggs, I said. And I'm the goose. The egg is his worthless pride. He had nothing to say to that. Tell him the standard room is waiting. It's his choice. I hung up the phone. I hailed an Uber to the airport to fly back to Austin. The scenery blurred past the car window. I remember being a kid, riding in my dad's old Ford pickup. He told me, Leo, you got to make something of yourself so your old man can hold his head high in this town. I didn't get it then. I get it now. He didn't want me to be successful. He just wanted to hold his head high, even if it meant standing on my corpse to do it. 3. A week later, my mother showed up. She brought my Uncle Rick with her, driving all the way to Austin. They cornered me right outside my office building. Leo Miller, you get down here right now. My mother was screaming at the entrance, and the security guard couldn't calm her down. I had to take an early lunch to go deal with it. Mom, Uncle Rick, what are you doing here? You have the nerve to ask. Uncle Rick lunged forward to slap me, but I dodged it. Your father's in the hospital without his medicine, and you're here enjoying the air conditioning. He's not without medicine, I said. The nurse switched him to the generic version, and he's refusing to take it. How can you compare generic to the imported stuff? My mother cried. The doctor said the German medicine has fewer side effects. Fewer side effects, and it costs 10 times more. I looked at her. Mom, are we secretly millionaires? But you make good money. You call this good money? I scoffed. Do you have any idea what a mortgage costs in Austin? I don't care. My mother threw herself on the ground and started wailing. Everyone, come look. This big-shot executive son won't even take care of his own dying father. It was the middle of a lunch rush. A crowd of my coworkers was gathering. People were pointing. Some were pulling out their phones to record. My face burned with shame. This was my mother, willing to ruin my career, my reputation, just to force me to give them money. Mom, get up. I won't get up. Not until you agree to sell your condo. That's right. Uncle Rick chimed in. Just hand over the deed. I'll sell it for you. You won't have to lift a finger. I saw the greed in his eyes. His son was getting married next month and was short on cash. If he got his hands on that deed, how much of the money would actually go to my father's treatment? The deed is with the bank, I said coldly. What? Uncle Rick froze. I have a mortgage. The bank holds the deed. Then go get a payday loan, my mother screamed suddenly. I stared at her in disbelief. What did you say? Go borrow the money. You have a high salary. You can pay it back. She grabbed my pant leg. Your father can't suffer like this. He's been a proud man his whole life. Staying in a shared room will be the death of him. So to save him from being embarrassed, you want me to get a loan from a loan shark? You're young. You can earn it back. In that moment, the last shred of warmth I had for her died. Mom, I crouched down to look her in the eye. Am I really your son? Her eyes darted away for a second. Of course you are. Then why are you trying to throw me into a pit of fire? I'm trying to save your father. No, you're not saving him. I stood up, my voice carrying over the crowd. You're doing this for your own pathetic vanity. To all my colleagues, I turn to the onlookers. My father has a tumor. It's early stage, with a 90% recovery rate. I am willing to pay for his treatment, using his insurance and a standard hospital room. The crowd quieted down. But he refuses. I pointed to my mother on the ground. He demands a suite that costs $1,800 a day. He demands imported drugs not covered by insurance. And he wants me to sell my only home to finance his public image. A murmur went through the crowd. That old man is way out of line. Selling his house for an early-stage tumor? What would he do for late-stage? Sell a kidney. And the mom is something else, telling her son to get a payday loan. The tide of public opinion was turning. Seeing things were not going her way, my mother scrambled up to hit me. You ungrateful brat. Don't you air our dirty laundry in public. You're the one who started it. I caught her wrist. This is my office. There are security cameras. If you keep this up, I'm calling the police. You'd have your own mother arrested? Disturbing the peace is a crime. The police will arrest you. Seeing I was serious, Uncle Rick backed down. Hey sis, maybe we should just go back for now. I'm not going anywhere. I'll die right here if I don't get that money. Fine. I took out my phone. Hello, 911. There's a public disturbance at my office. My mother's face went white with fear. She was terrified of the police. Leo Miller, you're cruel. You're a monster. She pointed a trembling finger at me. If your father dies, it's on you. You killed him. If he dies, I said calmly, it's his own pride that killed him. They left, cursing me under their breath as they walked away. I went back inside. My manager called me into his office. Leo, get your family situation sorted out. Don't let it affect your work. I know. I'm sorry. Do you need an advance on your salary? I was taken aback. My eyes started to burn. No, that's okay. Thank you, sir. If you need help, just ask. I will. I walked out his office and took a deep breath. A stranger could offer me a shred of compassion, but my own parents wanted to bleed me dry. This was my reality. But I wasn't going to break. Never. For half a month later, a VIP showed up back home. It was the mayor of Rockwood, our hometown. He came with 2 town council members, driving all the way out to the hospital to visit my dad. My Uncle Joe called to tell me, Leo, the mayor is here. Your dad is over the moon. You should come down. Don't let him lose face. I didn't want to go, but I figured if I didn't, he'd probably promise to donate a new town hall. I took a half day off and rushed to the hospital. He had, in the end, been moved to the standard ward. The small room was packed with people. My dad was in his hospital gown. He'd lost some weight, but his spirit was as boisterous as ever. Mr. Mayor, it's an honor. You came all this way to see me. David, you're one of Rockwood's finest. Of course the town is concerned about you, the mayor said, shaking his hand. Oh, it's nothing, just a minor issue. My dad waved his hand dismissively. My son wanted to fly me to the Mayo Clinic for treatment, but I said no. We have to support our local doctors. I stood in the doorway, listening to this, my head swimming. The Mayo Clinic? Right now, I had to budget carefully just to go to the grocery store. Your son, Leo, is a real success story, the mayor said, looking around. This room is a little crowded, isn't it? My dad's face stiffened, but he recovered quickly. Well, I wanted to experience how the other half lives. That private suite was too quiet, no one to talk to. I didn't like it. How noble of you. The mayor gave him a thumbs up. By the way, David, about that offer you made to pave the main road into town. Pave a road? My stomach dropped. Done. It's a done deal. My dad slapped his chest. As soon as I'm out of here, I'll have Leo wire the money. $50,000. Every last cent. $50,000. I didn't even have $3,000 left in my account. Well, that's just fantastic. The mayor's face was beaming. David, you're a true benefactor to our community. I'm going to nominate you for the Community Pillar Award when I get back. It's my duty, my duty. My dad was grinning from ear to ear, as if he could already see the golden plaque. Nurse! Nurse! Suddenly, a nurse rushed in waving a bill. David Miller in bed 16. Your account is overdue. You need to make a payment immediately. The air in the room froze. The mayor's smile was stuck on his face. Overdue. My dad panicked. How can it be overdue? My son is a big-shot executive. Big shot or not, you still have to pay. The nurse was impatient. You're already $500 in the red. If you don't pay up, we're stopping your medication. Also, that lobster roll you ordered from DoorDash? The driver is waiting at the front desk for his payment. $35. My dad's face turned the color of week-old meatloaf. Everyone's eyes darted from my dad to me, standing in the doorway. Now, my dad saw me like I was his savior. Quick, go pay the bill and give the mayor $300 for his travel expenses. I walked into the room. All eyes were on me. Dad, I looked at him. I'm broke. What are you talking about? Your account still has. That's my living expenses, I said. Last week's medical bills, plus all the steaks and lobsters you've been secretly ordering, have wiped out my savings. Mr. Mayor, I turned to the town officials. About the road. You can forget it. What? The mayor said, stunned. My father is a pathological liar, I said calmly. He can't even afford a $35 lobster roll. Where's he going to get $30,000 to pave a road? Now, you bastard. My dad grabbed a pillow and threw it at me. How dare you expose me in front of everyone? How dare you put on this ridiculous act? I dodged the pillow. Dad, look at yourself. I pointed at him. You're in an $80 a day room, you're $500 behind on your medical bills, and you're promising to pave a road for the town? What are you going to pave it with? My blood. The mayor looked deeply uncomfortable. David, this is... Mr. Mayor, you should all head back, I said. And that community pillar award? He doesn't deserve it. A pillar of the community helps his town. He doesn't do it by bankrupting his own son for show. Get out of my sight. My dad was trembling with rage, his pointing finger shaking violently. David, since that's the case, we'll be on our way, the mayor said, standing up. His tone had become cold. We have town business to attend to. Wait, Mr. Mayor, don't go. Let me explain. The mayor left without a second glance, his entourage hurrying after him. The other patients and their families in the room were all looking at my dad like he was a joke. Putting on airs like a millionaire when he can't even pay his doctor's bill. Yeah, and he's going to pave a road? That's hilarious. My dad collapsed back onto the bed, as if his bones had turned to dust. His pride, his reputation, was completely shattered. Shattered into a million pieces on the dirty hospital floor. Are you happy now? He looked at me, his eyes filled with venom. You've completely humiliated your old man. Are you satisfied? I just told the truth. I took out my phone and transferred $500 to the hospital's payment portal. This is the last time, I said. If you ever dare make another empty promise for your ego or refuse to cooperate with your treatment again, this $500 will be the last cent I ever spend on you. I turned and walked away. This time, I didn't feel any pain. I felt relief. That suffocating weight of his vanity, which had been pressing down on me my whole life, was finally gone. But he wouldn't change. I knew that. This was just the calm before the storm. Even after all that, I underestimated David Miller's obsession with his reputation. It's a disease, one harder to cure than cancer. 3 days later, I got a call from a nurse. She said my dad was suddenly flush with cash again. Mr. Miller, your father just made a payment of $3,000. He's insisting on moving back to the private suite, and he just bought one of those ridiculously expensive gift baskets of steaks and lobster to ship back home. I was in the middle of debugging some code, and my hand slipped. Where did he get the money? I have no idea. He said a friend wired it to him. A friend? He didn't know a single soul in this city. What friend? A dark feeling washed over me. That evening after work, I went straight to the hospital. I could hear him before I even reached the door, his voice booming like a megaphone. Yes, Mr. Vance, the money's here. That was fast. Don't you worry. My son works for a major tech company. Makes $1 million a year. This little bit of cash, he'll pay you back next month. Interest? The interest is no problem. As long as the money comes quick, we're good for it. I kicked the door open. My dad was so startled he almost dropped his phone. When he saw it was me, he quickly hid the phone behind his back. The panic on his face was replaced by a forced arrogance. What do you want? Don't you know how to knock? No manners. Give me the phone. I held out my hand. Why? This is my privacy. I heard Mr. Vance, and I heard interest. I stared at him. Did you take out a payday loan? What payday loan? It's an investment loan, he blustered. He said it's a cash reserve for preferred clients. What's the interest rate? It's not much. 30% for 7 days. My head started spinning. 30% for 7 days? That's a loan shark. I yelled. How much did you borrow? Just 5,000, he mumbled. I needed to send the town 2,000 for the road and buy some nice things. I can't have the mayor thinking I'm a liar. I was shaking with fury. To pave a road? For a promise he pulled out of thin air? He went to a predatory lender, the kind that breaks legs for a living. Give the money back. Now. I can't. I've already spent half of it. He suddenly turned into a deadbeat, flopping back on the bed. Besides, Mr. Vance said, I don't even have to pay it back. He'll just garnish your wages directly. You just need to give him your employee ID. You gave my personal information to a scammer? He's not a scammer. It's a legitimate financial services company. I gave him your phone number, your work address, even your manager's number as collateral, he said, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world. A son pays his father's debts. It's the law of nature. I looked at this man on the bed, his face a mask of stubborn pride. He wasn't my father. He was a liability, an enemy. David Miller. I took out my phone and hit the record button. Listen carefully. You borrowed this money personally. I am not responsible for it. Whoever signed the papers is the one who pays it back. You're my son. If you don't pay it back, who will? Not me. I turned to leave. You can wait for your legitimate company to come provide your post-op care. You dare? If you don't take care of this, I'll go to your office and raise hell. I'll tell everyone you're abusing your elderly father. Go ahead. I looked back at him, my eyes cold. Make a huge scene. That way the police can come and see just how legal this loan really is. I walked out of the room, feeling dizzy. But I knew this was no time to collapse. The storm was about to hit. The storm hit even faster than I expected. The next morning, my phone was blown up with calls. It was all Mr. Vance and his thugs, spewing obscenities and threats. I enabled a block on all unknown numbers. But these guys were professionals. At 2 in the afternoon, the front desk in my office got a call. Then my manager's cell phone rang. Then a coworker in the next cubicle got a call. It was the infamous contact book explosion. Soon, the entire office knew. Leo Miller's dad took out a loan from a shark and skipped out, and now the collectors were coming after the company. My manager, his face grim, called me into a conference room. Leo, what is going on? Someone just called the front desk and threatened to send a funeral wreath to the office. I'm so sorry, sir. This is seriously disrupting the business, my manager sighed. HR is. I understand. I pulled out the resignation letter I had already prepared. Better to leave on my own terms than be fired. But I need a half hour, I said. And I need to use this conference room. I'm calling the police, and I'm setting the record straight. My manager looked at me, saw the determination in my eyes, and nodded. Okay. I walked out of the conference room and stood in the middle of the open plan office. All of my colleagues were staring at me with a mixture of curiosity and pity. I clapped my hands to get their attention. Everyone, I am so sorry for the disruption to your workday. My voice carried across the entire floor. Those harassing phone calls you've been getting are because of my father. People started whispering. For the sake of his ego, to look like a big shot back in his hometown, he took out a loan from a predatory lender, I said calmly, as if telling someone else's story. I knew nothing about this loan, and I haven't seen a dime of it. And now, I'm calling the police. In front of everyone, I dialed 911 and the number for the state's financial regulatory agency. Hello, I'd like to file a report. A lender is engaged in violent and harassing collection tactics against me and my colleagues. It involves illegal lending and public disturbance. After the calls, I posted a message in the company-wide Slack channel. This is Leo Miller. The borrower, David Miller, is my father. This debt is his personal responsibility. I did not co-sign or guarantee this loan. I will pursue legal action against any further harassment directed at this company or its employees. After doing all that, I felt a sense of relief I hadn't felt in years. Even if I lost my job, I would not bow to these vultures. 30 minutes later, the police arrived. They took my statement and logged the call records. Mr. Miller, we see this kind of thing all the time, one of the officers said sympathetically. These predatory loans aren't legally protected. You only have to pay back the principal and a legal amount of interest. As for the harassment, we'll open an investigation. Thank you. After the police left, I started packing my desk. My manager stopped me. Take this back, he said, handing me my resignation letter. The company looked into it. That lending group is a known criminal outfit. You handled this with integrity. You didn't bring shame on us. He patted my shoulder. Take 3 days off. Go get your house in order. My nose stung. Thank you. As I walked out of the building, I sent a text to Mr. Vance. The police have been called and the recordings have been submitted. If you want your principal back, go find David Miller at the hospital. If I or my company receive one more harassing phone call, I'll make it my mission to see your entire operation shut down. The call stopped immediately. Sometimes, you have to fight fire with fire. To deal with a bully, you have to be tougher than he is. As for David Miller, his easy ride was over. 7 the loan sharks may have been too scared to harass me, but they had no problem harassing David Miller. After all, he was a captive audience at the hospital. On the 3rd day, Uncle Joe called me, his voice frantic. Lau, get to the hospital. Something terrible has happened. What's wrong? Those collectors went to his room. They scared him so bad he wet the bed. He passed out, and the doctors are working on him now. When I arrived at the hospital, the light above the emergency room was on. A few familiar faces were standing in the hallway. My mom, Uncle Rick, and Uncle Joe. The moment she saw me, my mom charged at me like a wild animal. You murderer! Your father was being threatened in his bed. And where were you? Why didn't you pay the money? Are you trying to kill him? I grabbed her wrists and pushed her away. When he was borrowing money to show off, did he ever think he was killing me? It was only $5,000. You have the money. I have it, but why should I give it to them? I stared at her. Mom, when he sold my personal information to a loan shark, did he think about me losing my job? Did he think about my reputation being destroyed? My mom froze, then collapsed onto the floor in a puddle of tears. What have we done? We raised a cold-blooded monster. Just then, the doors to the operating room opened. A doctor came out, pulling off his mask. Who's the family? I am, I said, stepping forward. The patient had an acute stroke. Combined with the pressure from the tumor, the situation is not optimistic, the doctor said quickly. He needs surgery immediately, and we'll need to move up the tumor removal as well. The total cost will be around $25,000. $25,000. The hallway fell dead silent. My mom stopped wailing. Uncle Rick stared at his phone. Uncle Joe turned away and started coughing. Doctor, you have to save him. My mom scrambled up and grabbed the doctor's arm. Use the best medicine. We'll do our best, but you need to go settle the payment first, the doctor said, handing me a form. I took the form and turned to face my loving family. Mom, Uncle Rick, Uncle Joe, they all looked at me. I'm broke, I said. Between the last fiasco, my mortgage, and the performance bonus I lost because of the loan shark harassment, I have less than $300 in my account. You're lying. You must have it. Uncle Rick shouted. Do you have it, Uncle Rick? I stared at him. Weren't you the one who said I could always come to you if I was in trouble? Uncle Rick took a step back. We just bought a new car. Money's tight. Uncle Joe, what about you? Leo, you know my son is starting college. Mom? Where would I get money? Your father handled all of it. I laughed. It was a loud, hollow laugh that echoed down the empty corridor. You see, I pointed at the emergency room door. This is the reputation David Miller fought so hard to protect. And when it comes to life and death, that reputation isn't worth a single damn penny. Then, what do we do? My mom was frantic. We can't just let him die. We save him. I pulled a document out of my bag. I'll save him. As soon as you sign this. It was a document I had prepared in advance. A financial guardianship and asset liquidation agreement. The terms were simple. Sell the custom-built, 2-story house in Rockwood that was my father's pride and joy. The proceeds from the sale would be used for his medical treatment and to repay his debts. Any remaining funds would go to me as compensation for the money I had already spent. From this point forward, I would not be responsible for any of David Miller's future debts. I would only fulfill my minimum legal obligation for elder support. My mother's hands were shaking as she read the agreement. Sell the house. That house is your father's entire life. It's the family home. What's more important, his life or a pile of bricks? I asked. Isn't there any other way? Can't you sell your condo in Austin? She probed one last time. No, I said, my voice like iron. My condo is my future. That house is his ego. We're using his ego to save his life. It's only fair. Uncle Rick, Uncle Joe talked some sense into him. My mother pleaded, looking for backup. I shot them a cold glance. Whoever tries to talk me out of it can pay the 25 grand. Both of them immediately shut their mouths and shrank away. I can't sign this. Wait until your father wakes up and let him sign. She stalled. The doctor said if payment isn't made in the next 30 minutes, they can't do the surgery. I checked my watch. You have 20 minutes. This is extortion. This is damage control, I said. Mom, it's your decision. Sign it or don't. If you don't, I'm leaving. The loan sharks are still downstairs. You can deal with them yourselves. The mention of the loan sharks was the final straw. My mother broke down. I'll sign. I'll sign. Sobbing, she grabbed the pen and scribbled her name on the document. I then looked at Uncle Rick and Uncle Joe. You can sign as witnesses. Well, sign it. It proves the house was sold to save his life, so no one can accuse me of stealing the family assets later. Under my unwavering stare, they reluctantly signed their names. I folded the agreement, took out my phone, and made a call. Hello, Mr. Peterson. It's Leo Miller. Yes, about that house back in Rockwood. It's yours. We can be flexible on the price, as long as it's a cash offer and the money transfers today. After the call, I went to the admissions desk and paid the bill with my debit card. It wasn't my money. It was the down payment from a sale of the house. The light above the operating room turned on again. My mother was slumped in a chair, her eyes vacant. The house is gone. Your father's going to kill me when he wakes up. He won't, I said, sitting across from her, looking at this woman who had lived her life in a fog of denial. Because besides his life, he has nothing left. The loan shark's debt, the surgery bill, it was all paid for by that monument to his ego. David Miller had lived his entire life for his reputation. In the end, it was fitting. His reputation saved his life, but it cost him every last shred of his dignity. The surgery was a success. I couldn't wait to see the look on his face when he found out he was homeless and completely under my control. 9. David Miller woke up 3 days later. The anesthesia had worn off. He was lying on a hard mattress in a standard 3-bed ward, groaning in pain. Private. I want a private room. His eyes were still closed, but he was already trying to pull rank out of habit. There are no more private rooms. I sat by his bed, peeling an apple. This is it. Take it or leave it. He snapped his eyes open. He saw me, then the crowded room around him, and his temper flared. You ungrateful brat. You moved me in here while I was unconscious. I'm not short on cash. I own a house. The house is gone. The knife in my hand didn't stop. The apple peel came off in one long, continuous strip. What did you say? The surgery was $25,000. Paying back the loan shark was $5,000, plus other expenses. I handed him the peeled apple. There was no money. We had to sell the house. You sold which house? His voice trembled, his eyes wide with terror. The one in Rockwood. It was as if a bomb went off inside his head. You sold your father's house. My house. He shot up in bed, pulling at his stitches and grimacing in pain. That was a 2-story custom build. That was my reputation in the town. Your reputation couldn't save your life, I said calmly. Mom signed the papers. Uncle Rick and Uncle Joe were witnesses. That useless woman. He was shaking with rage, pointing at my mother, who was cowering in the corner. You did this. You betrayed me. My mother shrank back, crying. David, we had no choice. The doctor said they wouldn't operate without the payment. I don't need the surgery. I'd rather die than sell my house. Fine by me. I stood up. It's not too late. You can go tell the buyer to give you the money back, and then you can shove that tumor right back where it was. Dad, face reality. I looked at him. You're not the father of some big-shot executive anymore. You're just a broke, homeless old man who just had major surgery. He stared at me, his eyes practically bulging out of his head. Get out. Both of you get out. He grabbed a cup and threw it at me. This time, I didn't move. The water splashed across my shoulder, soaking my shirt. I didn't feel a thing. Fine, I'm leaving. I wiped my shirt with a napkin. From now on, you're on your own for your nursing care and your special meals. After all, I'm broke too. I walked out of the room. Behind me, I could hear his hysterical howls like an old wolf who'd had all his teeth pulled. But I knew he was finished. He couldn't hurt me anymore. Without his house, he had no foundation for his lies, no capital for his bragging. For him, that was a fate worse than death. 10. The day he was discharged was a pathetic affair. There were no flowers, no caravan of cars, no relatives waiting to welcome him home. Just me and my mom, helping a frail David Miller onto a Greyhound bus back to our hometown. He refused to take the bus at first, demanding an Uber Black. A bus is humiliating. What will people in town say if they see me like this? The Uber is $300. The bus ticket is $50, I said. If you want the Uber, you can pay for it. He felt his pockets. They were empty. He never used to carry money because I was always there to pay for everything. Now, grumbling and cursing, he shuffled onto the bus. We got to the edge of town as it was getting dark. David Miller tried to pull himself together, straightening his collar, attempting to strike a hometown hero returns pose. No one cared. Under the big oak tree at the town entrance, a few old-timers saw him, pointed, and started whispering. Look, that's David Miller. Heard his son had to sell his house after he got in deep with a loan shark. Tisk TSK. And he was just bragging about paving the main road. Turns out, he couldn't even pay his own hospital bills. Heard he's on the outs with the mayor now, too. He's poison in this town. The words were like needles, piercing David Miller's ears. His shoulders slumped. We walked to the two-story house that had once been his monument to himself. The front gate was shut with a new, shiny electronic lock on it. A BMW was parked in the driveway, the car belonging to Mr. Peterson, the new owner. My house. David Miller clung to the iron gate, tears streaming down his face. All my hard work. Just then, Mr. Peterson came out. He saw us and offered a tight smile. Oh, David, you're back. Feeling better. Mr. Peterson. David forced a smile that was more painful than a grimace. I was wondering, can I maybe stay for a couple of days? I haven't found a place in town yet. Can't do that. Mr. Peterson's face hardened. This house is mine now. The deed is clear. Besides, I just had the whole place redone. What if something happens to you in there? It'll ruin the property value. You should get going. You're blocking my driveway. Mr. Peterson waved his hand dismissively, like he was shooing away a stray dog. David Miller stood frozen, his face a deep, mottled purple. He used to be the king of this town, handing out expensive cigarettes to everyone, basking in their praise. Now, standing in front of the house he built, he was being treated like dirt. Let's go, I said, taking his arm. I rented a small bungalow for you on the west side of town. It's $200 a month. I'm not going, he snapped, pulling his arm away. That's where the welfare cases live. Then you can sleep on the street. I ignored him and started walking toward the west end with the luggage. My mother followed, sobbing. David Miller stood there for a long time. Finally, with his head hung low, he trudged after us. That night, in the dilapidated bungalow on the poor side of town, David Miller huddled under a musty blanket, silent. His reputation, his dignity, his vanity. On that cold night, it all crumbled into dust. 11 after getting them settled, I prepared to head back to Austin. Before I left, I had one last negotiation with David Miller. Or rather, I delivered a final notice. Dad, Mom, I placed a debit card on the greasy kitchen table. I will deposit $500 into this account on the first of every month. $500? David Miller shot up. Are you kidding me? That's what you give a beggar. I used to smoke cigars that cost more than that. That was then, I said coldly. At today's prices, $500 is enough for 2 people to eat. You won't starve. I won't accept it. I'll sue you. The law says you have to support me. The law calculates support based on the local cost of living and the child's income. I looked at him. In a rural town like this, $500 is more than fair. If you want to sue, be my guest. He was speechless. One more thing. I held up a finger. Don't ever talk to me about social obligations again. Weddings, funerals, birthdays, that's your business. Don't expect me to contribute a single dollar for gifts. How am I supposed to show my face in town? You don't have a face to show anymore, I said. From the moment you took out that loan, you became a town joke. Do you really think anyone cares if you give them a $20 gift card? His face turned purple with rage, and he clutched his chest, gasping for air. My mother was wiping away tears. Leo, can't you give a little more? Your father's health is poor. If his health is poor, he should smoke less, drink less, and lie less. I picked up my backpack and walked to the door. Oh, and by the way, I already spoke with Uncle Rick and Uncle Joe. What did you tell them? I told them I was completely broke, that my condo was in foreclosure, and that I'm drowning in debt. I gave a small smile. So don't expect them to lend you any money. They're probably avoiding you like the plague as we speak. David Miller collapsed into his chair, defeated. It was true. Since he had come back from the hospital, not a single one of the relatives who used to flock around him had come to visit. They were all terrified of being associated with him. "Leo, you're a cruel man," he said through clenched teeth. "I'm your father. It's because you're my father that I'm letting you live," I said, giving him one last look. "If you were anyone else, I would have left you to rot." I walked out of that dark, miserable house. The sun outside was bright. I took a deep, long breath. The air didn't smell like smoke or cheap compliments or the crushing weight of pride. It smelled like freedom. 1 year later, Austin, Texas. I moved in my new apartment. I had to sell the condo I'd planned to get married in, but after a year of hard work, I managed to save enough for a down payment on a smaller place. My fiancée didn't leave me. When she learned what happened with my family, she didn't judge me. Instead, she said she was proud of me for standing up for myself. "As long as you're not an enabler anymore, I'll marry you," she had said. "I promise. Never again." It was a Saturday, and I was in the kitchen cooking. My phone rang. It was Uncle Joe. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Leo, you coming home for the holidays?" "Can't, work's too busy." "Oh, well, your dad has been behaving himself," Uncle Joe said, his tone a bit awkward. It's kind of sad to see. The other day, I saw him at the town recycling center collecting cans. Said he was trying to save up for a good cigar. The spatula in my hand paused. "How's his health?" "It's okay. He's lost a lot of weight. Nobody listens to his stories anymore, so he doesn't go out much. Just sits on the porch and stares into space." I was silent for a moment. "I see. Leo, maybe you shouldn't be so. After all." "Uncle Joe," I cut him off. "Everyone has to pay for their own choices." "I suppose you're right." After hanging up, I finished plating the food. Smoked brisket with a rich, dark bark smelling of hickory and home. I took a picture and posted it to the family group chat on WhatsApp. The caption, "A good weekend starts with a good meal." The group was silent. No likes, no comments. I knew they were watching. David Miller would probably see the picture on Uncle Joe's phone. What'd he think? Would he regret destroying our relationship for the sake of his ego? Or would he still be cursing me for being an ungrateful son? It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I had finally escaped that toxic cycle. I was no longer someone's status symbol. I was no longer anyone's ATM. I was Leo Miller, just a regular guy trying to make a life in Austin, with a mortgage on my back, but peace in my heart. And that was enough. Dinner's ready. My fiancée came out of the bedroom, carrying plates and smiling, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Coming." I put down my phone, turning off the screen. In its dark, reflective surface, I could see my own relaxed, happy face. Outside the window, the lights of the city twinkled. My light, the one that belonged to me, was finally on, and it was going to stay on for a long, long time.